Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is JC Hyde. I am the Executive Director here at the California Fire Safe Council, and I am so thrilled to be here today to open up our final session of our first annual Fire Safe Vendor Virtual Expo series. Earlier this year, we launched the inaugural edition of our Fire Safe Vendor List. The list is a free resource that's designed to connect mission-aligned communities with reputable wildfire mitigation businesses across California. And the list features a diverse range of vendors, from well-known established businesses to emerging innovators that are offering cutting-edge solutions to the wildfire challenge. And our hope is that this list is going to make it easier for communities and homeowners to find the support that they need to meet their wildfire resilience goals. Be on the lookout this summer for a mid-year update to the list with some exciting new vendors that should release in July, August. And over the course of the spring, we have hosted, this is the fifth virtual expo, to highlight some of the businesses featured in the Fire Safe Vendor List. And we are excited to provide a platform to connect those great businesses with communities in need of their services. I want to thank all of the vendors here today for their participation and all of you in the audience for your time and your attention. A special thank you to Apex Enterprises and Brandguard Vents, who are corporate partners of the California Fire Safe Council and also vendors on the call today. I hope this venue will move us forward in creating a more connected community of wildfire mitigation practitioners and also support us in scaling up our efforts to live safely with wildfire. Now I am going to turn it over to our moderators for the day, Melanie Hogan, who is our Chief Development Officer and the architect behind the vendor list, and Brittany Munoz, our statewide coordinator. Thank you, Melanie and Brittany.
Thanks so much, JC, and a warm welcome to everybody on the call today. We're pleased to have such a great turnout. We had over 60 people registered, and we have a wonderful lineup of businesses presenting a really diverse range of products and services. So before we jump into the presentations, I wanted to mention a few housekeeping items. You're welcome to add questions to the Q&A portal throughout the presentations. We'll be collecting those for a group Q&A session at the end of the webinar. So feel free to pop in questions when they come up for you. For any technical issues such as audio or visual, you can use the chat function to communicate with our team members on the back end to help you resolve any of those. And then lastly, we'll be adding the link to the Fire Safe vendor list in the chat. If you haven't had an opportunity to download the free publication, all the presenters today are on that list. So let's jump right in. I want to introduce the 5 companies we have presenting today. First, we have Kelly Berkompas with Brandguard Vents, Traci Holt with Diversified Resources, Marcos Guerrero with Environmental Resources Compliance, Trevor Boland with Hewn Elements, and Logan Bamford and Rebecca Wilson with Apex Enterprises. So our first presenter is Kelly with Brandguard Vents. I'm going to give a little intro onto the company and the product. They offer premium fire and ember-resistant vents designed to protect homes from wildfire ember intrusion. Their technology and products meet strict fire codes, ensuring superior safety and compliance. They offer products statewide and have been in business for 17 years. So Kelly, over to you.
Thanks, Melanie, and thanks everyone for coming on the call and hanging out and hearing a little bit more about Brandguard Vents. What Melanie just said is absolutely true. I am one of the co-founders of Brandguard Vents. We were invented actually in 2003 by a Southern California firefighter, and we have actually been in the fire vent innovation industry since that time, so over 20 years. Why ember-resistant vents? I'll go through this pretty quickly. Defensible space is not enough. This is from the coastal fire. Embers will fly straight in through these little guys on the right. The existing vents that are so problematic have these mesh holes right behind them, which are allowing embers, flames, and radiant heat to pass through. And it's important to note all 3 things are problematic during a wildfire, not just the embers, even though the embers are a large portion. Mesh of any size will always let in flame and heat as well. So that is a key difference between using a fine mesh vent and a vent like ours. So just keep that in mind. So one of the solutions obviously is Brandguard Vents. What is our technology? We have a patented triple protection, and we're most famous for our overlapping baffle technology. The baffles are the first line of defense when embers or flame or heat hit against the vent. Basically, you can see by this maze, it traps the embers, basically knocks the heat out of them, and prevents them, any hot embers, from getting through to the other side. On the back side, we do have 16th inch mesh. We put it on the back side so you don't have to worry about clogging over time. And then we have an intumescent self-closing strips tucked within the baffles, and those will only self-close and expand if you were to encounter extreme flames and heat. Otherwise, the rest of our vent will do the job. But that is our triple protection: the overlapping baffles, fine mesh, and an intumescent self-closing strip. A little bit about the intumescent material. It is weather tested up to 60 years in all weather conditions. And if it does expand, which it expands very quickly within like a second, you have little to no smoke that will come off of that during expansion. We make products for all types of vents around your home, as you can see in this picture. And we do custom and standard sizes, including copper and stainless steel. I wanted to show you guys some pictures of our vents installed, some before and afters, just to give you an idea aesthetically of what they look like. They're very easy to paint and blend into any homeowner's home. The vents on the left are copper retrofits. The vents on the right were painted to match the tile. Here's another great before and after. Oftentimes the retrofit looks better than the vents that were on the home to start with. The soffit vents, we make all different sizes and shapes. These are some short ones. And this is our longer continuous strip vents. You can see before they just had some fine mesh. And then on the right, you can see how nice and beautiful our paints are vented to blend in with any aesthetic on the home. We have those pesky little bird block holes that some homeowners have. We've seen hundreds of them on homes before, but they fit in nice and easy into the homes, and again, can be painted easily. Gable end vents, these come in not just rectangular sizes, but they can also come in triangles, round circles, and we make everything that your home would need. This is an example of an access panel, so we can do that as well. We can put it on a hinge or not. Again, before and after, and you can see in the before, it's painted as more of an accent color. This homeowner wanted to change it to match the rest of her home, but we will paint it to whatever color the homeowner prefers. These are water heater door vents, so you don't want to forget about that. Again, just some visuals for you to see. Another water heater door example. And foundation vents. So you can see on the right examples of what the copper vents would look like. And the before picture on the left is a very, very, very popular foundation vent with what I like to call kind of mini louvers. And then the picture on the right. And what kind of testing and certifications? We have been lab tested and listed to ASTM E2886, which is the requirement to be listed with the state of California for CAL FIRE. You have to be tested in flames, embers, and radiant heat. And we are tested and listed to both horizontal position and a vertical position, which is very, very critical, because when the wind's blowing, the flames and heat and embers will attack your vent in a horizontal way when that flame is turned sideways and blowing sideways. Even if your vent is installed vertically, you still should use a vent that has both horizontal and vertical approvals. We've been used over the past roughly almost 20 years by insurance companies, municipalities, military, HOAs, builders, contractors, homeowners. We're featured on KFI on Dean Sharp's The House Whisperer. And we meet all the codes or are listed on approved vendors for the jurisdictions at the bottom, including the wildfire prepared home, which I know a lot of homeowners want. And we actually qualify for the wildfire prepared home plus, which is that extra certification that you can get through wildfire prepared home. And are we real world tested? Yes, we are. In the Palisades fire, we had hundreds and hundreds of homes directly in the path, and almost all of the homes that had our vents survived. There were, of course, some instances where things were just beyond control of vents, trees falling into windows, homes being so close to the neighboring home that the radiant heat was busting out windows. But when it comes to keeping the flame and embers out of the vents, we did our job. And this is just one sampling of one neighborhood. You can see the homes that had our vents installed survived versus the ones that did not is just absolutely astounding. And a picture says 1,000 words just right here alone. They will make a difference.
Kelly, it absolutely does. I do have to say we're out of time right now. So if you just want to wrap up in a few seconds, and then Brittany has a
Absolutely.
question for you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Call us. We do free vent assessments. We're a one-stop shop. You can call us and we'll handle the whole process from beginning to end. Check out our testimonials on Google reviews. We have 4.9, and we now offer financing, which is my favorite thing I wanted to end with. So for the people who cannot afford the top level flame and ember resistant vents, they can now get them installed, product and labor, for as little as $54 a month, and offered a subject to credit approval, of course, but we are very proud to offer that. That's it.
Well, Kelly, thank you. I'm so excited for you to be here today, sharing Brandguard with us. I know that, well, I can attest that it has been a very popular choice amongst our fire professionals and local community members, as well as the community groups. So with that, I want to ask you a quick question here. How long does installation typically take, and do you recommend professional installers?
You can, if you are a DIYer, you can absolutely install these yourselves. We do have videos that we share to show. And if you don't mind getting on a roof, you can DIY it yourself. If you want a professional installer, you can start by making a phone call to us. We have a whole network of preferred installers that we would then put you out to. We would help you schedule the assessment. Most homes get installed in one day. There are some exceptions to that, of course, with larger mansions and things, but for the most part, your home can be installed and retrofitted in a day or less. It's a very easy process.
Wonderful. Well, thank you.
Yep.
Back to you, Melanie.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Our
you.
next presenter is Traci Holt with Diversified Resources. They are a licensed California tree service contractor and fuel reduction specialists, bringing 35 plus years of combined forestry expertise. They manage complex projects efficiently and take pride in responsible and sustainable land stewardship. They offer services statewide and have been in business for 14 years. Over to you, Traci. Oh, you're on mute, Traci.
Okay, is that better? Perfect. Thanks, Melanie, and hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. As Melanie mentioned, my name is Traci Holt, and I'm the owner of Diversified Resources, a certified women-owned company specializing in sustainable land management, wildfire prevention, and forest health services. We have over 35 years of combined experience as a licensed California timber operator, as well as a California tree service contractor. Over the years, we've worked alongside agencies such as CAL FIRE, resource conservation districts, fire safe councils, and private landowners throughout California and Nevada. Whether you're wanting mastication or creating fire line construction, our team is very experienced, and we're deeply committed to protecting people, property, and our natural resources. Everything that we do ties back to one goal, and that is to reduce wildfire risk through smart, sustainable land management. Whether we are working near homes, communities, or we're deep in the forest, our projects are designed to slow the fire spread, create safe access for our first responders, and protect both communities and our ecosystems. It is really about being proactive and managing our fire risks before a disaster strikes. Words can only go so far. And as Kelly had mentioned, pictures are worth a 1,000 words, right? So this is where I'm going to kind of highlight where our pictures really speak for themselves. These are some before and after pictures of showing the real true impact of the work that we do in the field. And
Traci, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but we can't see your slide deck. Do you want to try sharing again?
Can you see it now?
No. We can get it on in the back end. I will ask Eileen.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know what's going on there. Sorry about
No
that.
worries, no worries. We got you.
It still says I'm sharing, so I'm not sure what's going on.
You are now sharing, Traci. If you want to go ahead and click the
I can do the video, this one now.
Presenter
Yeah.
view, yeah.
The presenter
There you
view.
go.
Perfect. We got it.
Sorry.
No worries.
Technology these days.
Yep, I know.
Anyway, as I was mentioning the before and after photos, and wanted to kind of highlight a couple of projects, one that we're doing right now and the importance of that particular project, and the photos on the left. Those are from a project that we're currently working on in Glenn County. And this is an example of us working to protect critical infrastructure as well as the communities of Elk Creek and Stony Ford. So the top picture is a kind of a long-range picture looking at a communication tower, which is for the Glenn County Sheriff's Department and all the first responders. And I will mention that it's the only one in the county. So it's very critical that that is protected from fire. And it's very windy, as I can attest. I was up there yesterday and it's a lot of wind up there on that ridge top. So this is a 1,700 acre or so project that we're working on. And it's a project that we're working in partnership with the RCD, CAL FIRE, and private landowners. And so the bottom picture, you can see we've removed all of the brush and hazardous fuels around that communication tower. To the right, you'll see another project that we did in Westwood. And I will mention that's the Northern California Westwood. It's a WUI project that we did. It's about a 1,200 acre fuel reduction project. You can see this is around the community of Westwood, which has been threatened twice in the last 4 years with fire. So we went through, cleaned up the forest floor, got rid of a lot of the dead and dying trees to make it a little bit more, creating that defensible space and more fire resistant for that community. So not only do we do large landscape fuel reduction, but we also provide services for our residential folks as well. On the left-hand side, we had a concerned landowner in the Lake Almanor area, who again was the last 4 years, we've had the Dixie and the Park Fire. They had endured some devastation from the Dixie Fire, and they reached out and said, hey, the property is a little overgrown, as you can see from the top left. Our team came in, and the bottom left picture is the after we've gone in and removed the fuels. The last 4 pictures that I'm going to talk about today is the Sacramento River Corridor Hazardous Fuel Reduction Project that we did with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, the Glenn County RCD, as well as CAL FIRE. This project established strategic fuel breaks around the refuge, around the communities that are outlying outside of the refuge, provided for better public access in case of a fire and for first responder safety. And there's also some critical infrastructure in that refuge as well. We also did a lot of habitat improvement in there. And so these pictures are the before and after of what looks like in the Sac River project. And as I mentioned, it was a partnership with RCD, the Fish and Wildlife, and CAL FIRE. And you'll see here, there's a link. CAL FIRE featured this project. They came out and did a showcase on it, and you can kind of see some real cool aerial views of what we did, as well as pictures of the action of the machines working there in the refuge. And finally, I appreciate everyone's time today, and there's our contact information if you have any questions. Thank you.
Traci, I greatly enjoyed learning about the important work that you all are doing with land management. The fact that it's a woman-owned business and the strategic partnerships that you have just filled my heart as I was listening to you. So with that, I'm going to ask you a question for our audience.
Sure.
How does your team approach fuel reduction, and why is it an important part of the work you do?
Very good question. So really, fuel reduction is at the core of what we do, because we believe it's one of the most effective ways to prevent catastrophic wildfires. to both prevent our communities and our ecosystems. We have a very talented team that takes a very strategic approach, evaluating the terrain, looking at the different types of vegetation, and really important, what kind of fire history has there been in the areas that we're working. That helps us really determine the best methods to use. And by focusing on the fuel reduction, creating those defensible space, we are also improving our forest health. So our team is always balancing the effectiveness of the treatment with the environmental responsibility that we have.
Got stuck on mute. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, back to you, Melanie.
Okay,
you.
thanks. Our next presenter is Marcos Guerrero with Environmental Resources Compliance. ERC staff are experts in planning and regulatory permitting for archaeological, biological, and tribal resources. They specialize in helping clients comply with CEQA, NEPA, and forest practice rules, as well as specializing in environmental conflict negotiation. They offer services across the state and have been in business for 5 years. On to you, Marcos.
Thank you. Thank you, Melanie. Welcome, everybody. I'm going to share my PowerPoint presentation here. Let's see. Can you see that? Let's see.
Not yet. There we go. Something's coming.
All right. Let's see if I can get this rolling. Oops, sorry. Looks like we jumped over a few slides. I apologize for that. Welcome, everybody. My name is Marcos Guerrero. I'm a CEO for Environmental Resources Compliance. We're an archaeology company. We specialize in environmental services, biological services, but the majority of the work we do involves archaeological resources compliance, which includes things like tribal affairs, traditional ecological knowledge, and other important factors that come along with that, like environmental planning and historic preservation. We provide services statewide, and we've been working in California since about 2020 when we opened, a little bit after the Camp Fire. We started working up there in Butte County, and since then we've spread out throughout California, Hawaii, and New Mexico. So how we support wildfire safety is through routine operation and maintenance, whether it's utility lines, roads, levees. We work with local, state contractors, agencies, governments, to comply with laws like the National Environmental Policy Act, the California Environmental Policy Act, Assembly Bill 52, forest practice rules, whatever the project involves, really. We're also heavily involved with hazard mitigation, debris recovery projects, especially with programs like the private property debris removal project, which is a FEMA project. It's also been adopted by Cal Recycle, Cal OES. We also work with local groups like conservation districts, local transportation agencies, to do fuel breaks, vegetation management projects that help, their communities, prevent and mitigate wildfire disasters. In addition to fire, we also work on flood projects. So we've been very active in both the wildland and the coastal urban interface. So here's our contact information. We're located in Sacramento, as I mentioned. And right now we're working throughout California, Solano County, Yolo County, Calaveras County, Tulare, Butte. Those seem to be very heavily affected. A lot of vegetation, a lot of urban wildland interface in those areas. So, depending on the season, it could be either debris recovery or hazard removal, or it could be mitigation projects like shaded fuel breaks or vegetation management. And then here's a couple of pictures. these are some historic artifacts. I believe these are from up by Butte County, but they just show kind of a representative example of the type of resources that we protect. We always look to flag and avoid, especially during these projects. We try to minimize any potential impacts and costs. So we've developed a lot of effective processes to streamline CEQA, NEPA, forest practice rules, along with California Fire Safe Council and a lot of the participating Fire Safe Council agencies. And it's been great. It's been effective. It works, at both the state, local, and federal level, and it's something we've been really proud of. And then, who doesn't want to see an arrowhead? Here's a couple of arrowheads. Projectile points is what we call them, from up in the hills. Didn't have very much permission to present any of the tribal resources that we've encountered, but that's what we specialize in the most. We always like to recognize the land which everybody comes from. So just take a second to think about where you're at, and the local indigenous populations that are from there. For example, I'm from Sacramento, and it's an intersection between the Miwok, the Southern Maidu, and the Patwin bands. And so it's a mix of the three different cultures. So it's very dynamic. It's very culturally enriching. So you have to be able to work with everybody, accommodate their specific protocols, procedures, mitigation measures. So that's another thing that we try to help out with. But if there's no questions, I think that's pretty much it for me.
Thank you for sharing, Marcos, especially the incredibly complex work that you're providing to improve California. So thank you for that. I do have a question you kind of touched base on, but I thought we could dig a little deeper into it. How are you applying archaeology to fuel mitigation and prevention projects?
Yeah, excellent question. Yeah, so oftentimes, agencies or different stakeholders, they receive grant money or funding that's attached to state or federal monies. So that at some point becomes an undertaking if it's federal. If it's state, there's also requirements, and those requirements are specific to, for example, for state, it's public resource codes, it's CEQA codes. So it's codes that not just protect the tribal cultural resources like Assembly Bill 52, but it also protects human remains like health and safety code and public resource codes. For example, the Public Resource Code 5097.98 designates the most likely descendant in the event that human remains are encountered. So we also deal a lot with treatment and disposition of human remains. So those, apart from the resources, there's a very high concern regarding human remains. So when a project begins, we go in there, we identify what's been known. We go in there, we do a pedestrian survey. We flag everything for avoidance. We set up a specific list of protection and avoidance measures, and then we turn that over to the contractors to implement with a series of mitigation measures for them to follow. And that's pretty much how we work.
Wow, that's incredible. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, back to you, Melanie.
Okay, thank you. Our next presenter is Trevor Boland with Hewn Elements. Hewn is a leading manufacturer of natural wood products, including International Wildland Urban Interface Code compliant products. That's a mouthful. And there are that are non-toxic and made from sustainable wood. They offer products throughout the state and have been in business for 9 years. Over to you, Trevor. Oh, you're on mute, Trevor.
There, we'll try that again. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Trevor Boland. I'm the Northern California representative for Hewn. I'm going to share my screen here. Okay. Hopefully everybody can see that. Anyways, Hewn's a leading manufacturer.
Trevor, it's not coming up yet. Can you try again?
Yeah.
There you go.
Missed a step. Okay, let's try that again. I can't see. I need to move this guy. There we go. All right. Technical difficulties.
There you go. Got it.
Yeah, there we go. All right. So anyways, Hewn's a leading manufacturer of custom architectural wood products. Primary product lines are shop finished, natural wood siding, interior paneling, box beams, and flooring. Our strengths as a company consist of complete understanding and sourcing of renewable material supplies, in-house manufacturing processes, and unsurpassed finishing capabilities. Hewn believes that the quest for safer ignition-resistant siding should not result in a subpar product that mimic the look of wood siding. Wood siding has had a long history of use in North America, and we aim to continue these generations-old traditions by developing a real-world exterior siding that is designed to meet the ever-increasing need for fire safety in our changing natural landscape. Our Class A exterior pressure-treated wood maintains the visual look and feel of our traditional exterior cedar siding while implementing an industry-leading fire treatment process that modifies the wood to its core, achieving a Class A ignition-resistant classification. Hewn's Thermex FR is our treatment name for it, as ignition-resistant projects are subject to the industry standard accelerated weatherization test, which is important for how long the material is going to be on the outside of your building, looking at the elements. That ASTM D2898 is the testing there. It's also tested at the flame spread test, the ASTM E84 for a flame spread. That gets its Class A rating. It's a flame spread of 25 or less. We're also verified by the International Code Council, ESR 1159 and ESL 1021, listed on the State Farm Marshall Building Material List as an ignition-resistant product. It's important to note that the Thermex FR treatment is not a surface or topical application. That's part of the Chapter 7A requirements. The wood is actually pressure treated, pressure impregnated with a one-time factory treatment. This treatment does not need to be reapplied to maintain its fire resistance. On the screen there, you can see some of the softwoods that we're able to fire treat. Hewn's expertise in wood finishing is where we add value. Our treated wood, once the wood's treated, it does require more specific finishing process than untreated wood, and in order to achieve the best finished results. Hewn has put the work in to develop and test our process and materials to ensure the product that we deliver is the highest quality. By putting our effort into research, development, and testing, which you can see on the screen, some of our natural weatherization testing and durability testing of our finishes. And I think that's important to talk about real quick at this point. Hewn's background and expertise has really comes from the wood finishing market. And so we take one of our other partners here at the Fire Safe Council, Safer Wood, and we add value with our finishes, delivering a finished product to our customers. So it gives us the confidence to stand behind all of our products with this testing that we have. Our production facility is just outside of Portland, Oregon. So there's some local lead credits if you're delivering to the Northern California area. That's an important green measure. Our team there transforms the raw wood with various textures and finishes to basically develop the product that you're looking for your specific design. We ship to customers across the country, including Hawaii. We've got a couple in the Bahamas, so they do go across the water. To see some of our standard finish options, you can check out our website at www.hewn.com. There's a drop down for the ignition resistant product line. And as I touched on, we understand that every project is different. Design comes into play. And so we do have the ability to customize species, grade of lumber, texture, profile, and colors to help meet your design. When using a wood in an exterior application, and I think actually, let me go back here. This is a good bullet point slide, kind of gives you a good overview of some of the advantages of going with the ignition resistant siding. And it's not just siding, we use it a lot on soffits and ceilings and overhangs, which is a very vulnerable area when a home is exposed to wildfire. So having that ability to resist ignition helps with your home. It also helps with the neighbors and the community homes by not casting embers. So it does tie into the whole community home hardening portion. Anyways, I like that slide because it's got a lot of bullet points on it. Here's our contact information, and beauty is in the details, and you can find a lot of it in every Hewn product that we make. Your vision needs innovative materials at par with your authentic ideas and demanding designs. With Hewn as your partner, our every intention will capture all of the attention. Hewn offers America's premier pre-finished, custom handcrafted wood products on a market firmly backed by our business model, ethics, and passion for more than satisfied customers. We believe a good business model should also create an exceptional personal experience. That's the Hewn pitch. My background as a builder, I was purchasing from these guys. It's a great product, and it's a good resource to help speed up schedules on job sites. Controlling the finish in an offsite shop management conditioned space is also very helpful. And if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to dive in.
Thank you, Trevor. I really enjoyed learning about the products you're sharing with us today. I do have a question for you. How long is the fire resistance of the siding? How long is the fire resistance of the siding rated for?
It's a good question. It's actually a lifetime treatment. So it's a one-time treatment. It lasts for the lifetime of the wood. So it's only limited by the lifespan of the wood. And while I'm on that, the fire treatment process itself actually delays the aging of wood. And so it helps it has more durable to the elements, just the process that happens with the fire retardant treated application. So it does not need to be reapplied in the field at any point in the future for the fire resistance rating.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I think with that being said, we're going to open this up to audience question and answer. Do we have any in the chat that you would like to share with me, and I can read them out loud, Eileen? Just a moment while we get those up.
Brittany, as Eileen is passing those to you, I can say that Apex Enterprises was our fifth and final presenter today, but unfortunately they couldn't make it. They offer forestry support services covering fuels reductions and post-fire recovery efforts and cleanup and reforestation. And they offer services statewide and been in business for 8 years. So if you want to learn more about them, you can go to the Fire Safe vendor list page on our website, and they're in the publication itself.
Thank you for that reminder, Melanie, and letting us know about Apex. Okay, we have the first question up, and it is for Traci. Don asks, where does Diversified Resources operate? And is there a registered professional forester on staff?
Okay. All right, Don. We operate statewide. We're based in Northern California, but we operate statewide. And we do also do a lot of work in Nevada. And we do not have an RPF on our staff. Our projects that we do are basically shovel-ready projects. They've already gone through all of the environmental checks, all of if on the federal side, the NEPA, on the state side, the CEQA, and most of our funding agencies have RPFs that are assigned to those particular projects. So that's who we work with when we're implementing projects. Hope that helped.
Thank you, Traci. Okay, the next one is for Trevor. MJ asks, how is Hewn product different from Kimco's Safer Wood?
Chemco is one of our industry partners, so Hewn adds value with the wood finishing expertise. So we take Safer Wood's product as a raw wood, and we transform it with textures and colors with our proprietary finishing process. It turns out that fire retardant treated wood, which is what we're talking boils down to here, has a very specific finishing process in order for the durability of the finish for its lifetime. And so that's kind of what our focus is.
Okay, thank you for that. Next question we have for Kelly. Do Brandguard vents require any special maintenance or cleaning over time? You're on mute, Kelly. I know we all do it.
I was so proud of myself for not doing it earlier. Like anything on the exterior home, I mean, if it gets a little dirt, you want to just wipe it off. You can spray it down. The good thing about Brandguard Vents is you can actually, because it has the overlapping baffles on the front, you can actually just take a hose, spray it down, just like you would the side of your house. If you wanted to just rinse off the side of your house, if you needed to wipe down or rinse off the vent, it's very easy to do that without worrying about any kind of water getting through there. So maintenance wise, it's very easy to do.
Thank you for that.
Mhm.
Okay, Marcos, you're up. Do you offer flexible pricing or partnership models for any grant-funded community resilience projects?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, we've been working with, especially with the conservation districts. You know, they're very interested in developing their programs. So we're very focused on program development. You know, we try to be cost effective, but at the same time, we try to work with whatever agency or district to allow them to build up their own resources, hire their own staff, you know, conduct their own projects. So definitely that's one of our main goals is to, you know, spread the, you know, spread the culture, you know, spread the ideas to try to, you know, help protect the resources and streamline the process.
I have to admit the RCDs are where I got my start and they're true to my heart, and it just makes me all fuzzy hearing the collaborations and the
Yeah.
work with it.
That's awesome.
Small plug.
Yep.
Okay, let's see. One more question. Thank you for that, Marcos. Next, I'm going to move back to Traci. In creating fire safe spaces, how do you work with local regulations regarding trees, etc.?
Can you say that again? I'm sorry.
Absolutely. Okay. In creating fire safe spaces, how do you work with local regulations regarding trees or other projects, etc.? This is what I have.
Yeah, no, so yeah, no problem. Good question. So, like I said earlier, when we are implementing, you know, we're a contractor, so we're working for the RCDs, for the fire safe councils. We're also a licensed timber operator, so we have to follow forest practice rules, which there's quite a lot, as Marcus can attest to. So we have to follow those as a licensed timber operator. So when we are working on projects, those are, like I mentioned, already shovel ready. So those in working with, let's say, the RCDs, we know, and through the mapping process, we know where arc sites are, we know where out areas are. So all of that is done, and it's kind of like given to us when we get ready to start the project. So we know, our operators know exactly where and where they cannot go on those particular projects. So all of that is built in to, by the time it gets to us and we bid on the project, all that is already ready, and it's put out in the our FP process through on-site visits. So that's how we know. And of course, if we come across something that was not noted, we might find an arc site that was not noted on a map. Of course, we then have to follow all the regulations around that so that we make sure that we're not violating any forest practice rules when it comes to that. Same thing with water courses. Sometimes they can't get everything labeled on a map. We might find something that, again, nobody really knew about. So again, we pull in our forest practice rules and follow those.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to switch back to Trevor. Does the Class A treatment affect how the siding material looks or performs?
That's a good question. Part of the treatment does take the natural wood, and in that treatment process, it does yellow it a little bit. So typically most of our finishes are a little bit darker than that, but that's the only real visual or aesthetic change to the wood. As far as, you know, how it affects or performs, it does, like I mentioned earlier, it slows the aging. Like if you have an untreated board next to a treated board out in the sunlight, it'll slow that graying down process, which is basically degradation of the surface fiber of the wood when it's exposed to UV and moisture. So the fire treated wood does slow that process down.
Very interesting. Okay, this question is for everyone. So whoever wants to go up first, just go ahead and come off mute, but we'll see who the first the race is. How do you price your services for underserved communities? And are you open to a tiered pricing or in-kind partnerships for areas with limited resources? I can repeat that one more time if you want. Just give me a nod, or you can just come off mute.
Hi, this is Kelly. I'll give it a stab.
Thanks, Kelly.
Yeah, I mean, we're very aware of that, which is why we came out with the financing opportunity, because we were getting so many calls after the wildfires, and we wanted to make sure that, and just seeing, the difference in the Palisades fire and the Eaton fire neighborhoods is economically two different kind of neighborhoods. And so we wanted to make sure that everybody, no matter, could have the opportunity to get them. And we do offer bulk community discounts when possible. But the biggest way is for them to be able to finance with low monthly payments.
Thank you. I appreciate that response and what you're doing for the communities. We can move on down the line.
I'll chime in.
Okay.
We have a range of finishes and a range of wood species and grades that can help kind of fit into most budgets. It is on the upper end, it's not a hardy or a plank siding, it's a real natural wood. So it does fluctuate with the lumber market. But we have various ranges of finishes. So, there's lower, middle, and higher levels of pricing.
Okay, thank you for that, Trevor.
I can answer that. Yes. So when we're working in those communities, we're usually working, again, as I mentioned, under grants. So we try to work and see how we can leverage other funding opportunities, pooling money, if you will, so that we can pull in a variety of funding sources to be able to work in that particular community. One thing that we really pride ourselves on when we are working, we are based in a disadvantaged community, so we dive really hard to employ people. One of our core values when we are working out of town is to make sure that we are purchasing all of our as much of the services and products that we use on our projects within that local community. So that's really kind of what we try to do when we are working with them. We also have a variety of different types of fuel reduction options that we can use. So maybe we are not able to do a full-blown landscape project. We might be able to come in and maybe work the perimeter. So we work with the landowners just to kind of see what we can and cannot do, what works within their budget.
Wonderful. Thank you, Traci. And I believe, Marcos, you are the final one for this question.
Yeah, I guess I'll wrap it up. Yeah, we're always open to providing free training. Those type of services are always requested by underserved communities. They always want to know, what they have, what they can protect, how they can protect it, and tribal communities as well. So yeah, I mean, there's always opportunities to develop, whatever they need. We always take on, one or two in-kind projects every year, whether it's saving the Amazon or saving, parts of these rural areas that we all live in these communities. It's something that, yeah, we take, we want to take pride in that, and we want to continue to help out in any way we can.
Thank you for that. And all of your responses, it sounds like everyone's heart is in the good place and your services are there for the betterment of communities. So thank you for that. I do have one follow-up question for Traci. Many cities have rules and regulations around which trees can be removed, as some species are designated as protected trees, etc. Are vegetation clearance vendors aware which trees can be removed, which trees are left untouched, and so I think my eyes just blurred a little bit. And within 5 feet of clearance around the home, do fire safety rules established by the state override the rules? That's a big question. I can piece it out for you, or let you chime in and just.
Yeah, I'll do my best. Yeah, I'll do my best. So yes, when we're working in large landscape projects, we're very well aware, as is the RPF, for what the leaf species, that's what we call them. So yes, and in some cases, some projects that we work on, there's an order of leaf species. So you follow the rules, you follow the regulations, and kind of like the footprint that the project gives us, or excuse me, the RPF gives us, so we know what can and cannot. Baker Cypress is one that we have up in the region that we're at, can't touch it. Down in the valley on that Sac River project, eucalyptus, or not eucalyptus, excuse me, it's going to escape me right now. But there's a tree down there that at an elevation of 2,000 feet and above, we can treat it. Down in the valley, we cannot treat it. Elderberry. So yes, we are very well aware of that. And so I hope that answers their question. I couldn't quite hear all the rest of it, but hopefully that answers it.
Oh, I think this part of the question is really important, so I'm going to re-ask it.
Sure.
Do fire safety rules established by the state override city rules?
Well, we don't really work in a lot of cities. We're more out in big landscapes, so we don't do a ton of work in the city. So I don't quite know if that's the case or not. So because we don't do a lot of work in cities. We're mostly out, as I mentioned, in big forested private landowner type projects.
I think what this in question had intended to say, and I could be wrong, but the way I'm reading is, would the state override like a county rule, not just city, but like a local jurisdiction rule?
Yeah, so if I mean, we have to follow forest practice rules. So if the city is asking us, if we were working in a city, is asking us to do something that violates forest practice rules, we would not do that. So in that particular case, yes.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah.
And thank you for the question. Okay, so this one is back for everyone. And since Traci, I have you up, I'm just going to go ahead and ask you, and then I'll go ahead and call on who's next. What sets your business apart from others doing similar work?
Sorry, I put my audio back on. What sets us up? Yeah. Well, I think mostly our effectiveness comes from, and what sets us apart is our combination of our experience, the training that we have with our team, and we have a real strong commitment to safety and sustainability. As I mentioned before, we have over 35 years in the forestry business. My husband is a third generation and our daughter is fourth generation. And we really understand how to plan and execute complex projects. We invest heavily in proper equipment, and we make sure that we follow best practices for land stewardship. This kind of combination of what I just mentioned allows us to deliver high quality work that protects both the people and the land. We take a lot of pride in the work that we do. Again, we've been doing this for quite some time, and have a great reputation for doing excellent work. So our integrity is paramount, and we proud to say we've never defaulted on a contract, and we maintain a reputation for reliability and professionalism.
That is wonderful to hear. Thank you, Traci.
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to pass that same question. What sets your business apart from others doing similar work to you, Trevor?
Oh, okay. Well, I would say our customer service and our approach to each project is unique, reinforcement of how Hewn operates as far as starting with the project, the budget, the design, and working with the customer, whether it be the homeowner, architect, or contractor, to help develop that, whether it's through value engineering or maybe resource allocation, finding the right material for the right project and working with it inside of a budget. So customer service is paramount for us, as well as the other thing would be our experience in wood finishing, being able to put performance products out there.
Thank you for that, Trevor. Appreciate it. Okay. Kelly, I'm going to ask you, or I'm sorry, not Kelly, but yes, Kelly. Went to Traci. Kelly, to you. What sets your business apart from others doing similar work?
Yeah, of course. I mean, obviously, like I mentioned in the slide, I didn't get to touch on it too much, but I think one of the big differentiators, other than, on our performance, we do have the weather testing up to 60 years. And we have, just from a maintenance standpoint, the longevity is really good for us. And really the customer service, because we act as a one-stop shop. We can take care of a customer from the time they call us requesting an estimate all the way to the end of the project. And so I think from, a manufactured vent standpoint, I think that sets us apart because people like knowing they can just make one call and then we can help them take care of it all. So.
Perfect. Thank you for that.
Yep.
Okay, Marcos, you're up and you're going to bring us home with what sets your business apart from others doing similar work.
Yeah, I guess what sets us apart is just our ability to, streamline the cultural resource process. For some people, it's very complex. It's very complicated. So the ability to bring us on and, and let us work gives them the freedom to, to be able to implement their projects and carry them out successfully without any hiccups. I think our ability to identify, treat, and protect, or I guess we call it dispose of human remains, is one of the things that I think we stand out the most. We've been heavily involved with that process, throughout the last 5 or 6 years since we opened. And so we want to just, make sure that, we are respectful to the communities that we work with, and that, we continue to be, honest with that and transparent because it is complicated.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that. And I think that's going to wrap us up for question and answer time. I personally want to thank our vendors here today and the incredible work you're doing. It's not easy to have a bunch of questions thrust upon you with an audience in tow, but I appreciate you being here. And I hope to see you out in the communities. And with that being said, I'm going to pass it over to Melanie for some final words.
Yes, thank you, Brittany, and thanks to all the presenters for your great presentations and answers to questions. I wanted to end by just sharing a few slides with you. We are taking surveys of everybody on the call today to give us feedback about the webinar. Was it helpful? What would you like more of? What would you like less of? We're taking all of this into account for future virtual expos. So look for a prompt after the webinar closes, as well as an email for a link to that webinar. As it's already been mentioned, this webinar concludes our inaugural Fire Safe Vendor List Virtual Expo series. To see the recordings from this as well as past webinars, you can go to our website at cafiresafecouncil.org or our YouTube channel. Please feel free to forward the recordings to others who might find this content useful. I want to end by thanking our presenters again. This is the names of their businesses and who they are and how you can contact them. And just want to say thanks for being with us today and being part of this community working towards a more fire resilient California. Hope you all have a great rest of your weekend. Bye-bye.